Hello, and welcome again to another edition of FyreSyde Chats with Kleerfyre. In today's episode, we actually have a special guest here with us to discuss the new news that we have out of Bungie and Activision splitting. So let me introduce my guest today, and you all know him very well. He is the H in the H&K, HolliwoodKole. Hollywood, how's it going, man?
It is going outstanding, man. I am so happy to be on your show because you asked me to come on here, and I said, well, yeah, we got to do this because this is your thing. This is your game. And so I got a couple questions I'd like to ask you about it and whatnot. But I don't want to. I'll let you talk about it. But man, I'm glad to be on here. It's always something. It's fun to do that way. Yeah, you need to be able to smooth ramblings too.
Yeah, it's fun, and I'm excited about it. I love listening to the smooth ramblings. They're fun, and they're a nice little break away from our normal podcast. So it's definitely a fun little offshoot, and I enjoy doing these fireside chats. But the whole reason why we are here today discussing, talking with each other, is to talk about the news that Bungie released on Thursday about the split between Activision and Bungie. So in the news, basically Activision has released Destiny to Bungie. They have total creative control over it, and they have total publishing rights over the Destiny franchise. So this could actually mean quite a lot for Destiny, the game, and Bungie, and it could go several different ways, and we just don't know how this is going to pan out right now. In the news and in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything's blowing up, talking about how excited everybody is that Bungie now has full creative control. Because one of the main issues Bungie always said is Activision puts us in too tight of a time constraint of pushing out content, DLCs, new games, and we can't fully develop the game the right way. So hopefully this will free them up to do more of that and actually have more development and have a better developmental cycle, things like that. So it's basically kind of a sit and wait and see what's really going to happen. For you PC players out there, because I know a lot of people's questions were, so what does that mean for the PC side and the partnership with Blizzard? That doesn't change a thing. Destiny will still be delivered through Battle.net. None of that will change. So I'm going to throw it over to Hollywood. And what's your first thoughts and first impressions on hearing this news? Because I know you were a big Destiny 1 player with me. You played Destiny 2 a little bit, and then you were like, done with this. So how does this make, how are your feelings on this news?
Well, first of all, I do like the news. And we talked about it yesterday, I believe, or 2 days ago. And, if you've listened to the Fan versus Hater with Edgy and us on there, I kind of let a little bit of this out, but it's really, Bungie was a great company. You had the great writer, the great composer that have both since left. And the great writer, and the whole story about Destiny, you just have to look. We're not going to get into it here, but, he wrote a phenomenal story, supposedly, and I have no reason to doubt that. He's written great stories for Halo for years. And Activision says, no, it's not commercial enough, essentially. It won't sell. We need to get teenagers can understand this, younger audiences. We want to reach a broader market. It's all just a cash grab to some degree for Activision. And so what I'm hoping happens, and we talked about it too, is that they come back, Bungie, they get their guys back somehow, if they can, their original guys, that writers and composers, which I doubt the composers coming back, because he sued them. He sued Activision and won every single thing he sued them for. So that tells you what type of company it is. I mean, it's just money hungry. That type. They're trying to please board members, and I would hope that Bungie would be trying to please gamers. However, they did do that partnership to begin with, so they got a little bit of, money-making tendencies, only money-making. There's nothing wrong with money-making tendencies, but, you got to kind of keep your audience in mind. But anyway, I said it would be funny if they did redo the whole thing and then come out with another game called Destiny, and then essentially just jumpstart the whole thing from scratch and do the original game that they were going to do, and that would be outstanding. That'd be great.
I think it would be a brilliant idea to do that. I mean, it'd be, in a way, kind of a slap in the face to Activision, especially if it blew up even bigger than what the original Destiny did. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, hey, look, we had a great idea and you shut us down, and we had to piecemeal a game together. Because if you talk to alpha players, even some beta players of Destiny, they'll say that they played a different game than what was released. The whole theory is that you were actually bad and the Traveler's bad. That was the whole theory behind the game, is that it was more you're playing on the dark side versus the light. And I really liked that idea, and I thought it would be a great concept because you don't have many games where you're playing from the bad guy side. That would be a different twist on it. And I think that actually would have been more of a draw for people, because it's like it's something different. It's something not common. So
how great would it be, just like you said, that Activision did their business plan that that I think is disgusting. The way that they handled their customers, so to speak, their fans, the way that they put out content. It's just a straight up, we don't care about anything but money. We'll lie to you to get money, whatever, all this kind of stuff. Well, anyway, then Bungie comes out with their version. We're going to cater to the gamer, and it just crushes the sales that Activision had with their game. What would that say about to the gaming industry? That would be a watershed moment, as they say.
Exactly. I mean, that's one of those things where that would just crush it, especially if Bungie decided to publish it on their own. Bungie has now after going through with this Destiny, like I said, I mean, right now Destiny is not one of the top games out there, but it still has a large following. It still has a lot of people following it. I mean, people are buying toys, collector things. They're 3D printing guns from Destiny. They're 3D printing armor and all of this kind of stuff. It's a big on the cosplay scene. So when you're looking at all this, Destiny has a really large following behind it still, even though it has its missteps. And if Bungie goes out there and says, we've got the clout to be able to publish this on our own and does it better than Activision, I mean, that's going to be a huge stomp, one, for the big publishers like Activision, EA, and it's going to be a huge boon for people like Blizzard and like BioWare, Gearbox, all of these smaller publishing these game developer groups, because it's going to be a big boon saying, hey, we can still put out a great game without these crazy publishers behind us like Activision and EA that put these constraints on us. So, I mean, this could be a great thing. It really could, depending on how Bungie plays this. If they continue on their developmental cycle like they were, it's going to crash and burn. If they do something different, it's going to show that these little companies can do something great. And I really hope that that's what they do.
Well, even the development cycles, I don't mind so much as just provide some substance to your game.
Exactly.
I mean, that's really all that is to it. I mean, with a Gilmore and there was a whole culture. I mean, if you look on YouTube from when did Destiny 1 come out?
2014.
14?
Yeah, 14. Yeah.
And so everybody's kind of like, what is good with this vanilla game? There's no story. So everybody started digging into it, and YouTubers started coming up with their theories and using the Grimoire cards to back it up and everything. And it was like, oh my gosh, that is just brilliant. If that would have stayed the story and all this.
Well, look at the YouTuber Bife. My name is Bife. Mm-hmm. I mean, the way that he dug lore and that he pulled it together. I mean, Destiny as a game and the lore from Destiny made him as a streamer. Doing that and all of that. And as Destiny 2 came around, you saw less of Bife, because there's not as much lore around it. It feels like the lore kind of fell to the wayside in it. And so, I'm really hoping that Destiny goes back, or Bungie goes back to that lore model, because that was fun. I loved watching Bife's videos talking about the lore and getting deep into that backside of the Grimoire cards and just digging it. Now it's just kind of like, well, where's all that deep lore that was there, so...
I do have to say, so the original story, and I'm going to paraphrase it, it's kind of like what you were saying. So the Traveler is the light, right? And he's down and he's providing light to everybody. And so you have to, you are the Guardian that defended the Traveler and all this. Well, you start noticing things like you were saying. If you ran up on some of those little, I don't even remember the enemies from one where they kind of run off. You would hear them say, "It's the darkness, and they'd run off. Mm-hmm. When you showed up and started shooting them.
Like the Fallen, mainly.
Yeah, the Fallen, they would say, it's the darkness and the dregs or something. I don't remember who it is. It says it on there. But, they would say that, and you're still going through there and slaying lands and all this. Well, it turns out the Traveler was the bad creature, and he would go to different universes or whatever and suck all the life out of it. With the Vex was tied to this Traveler. It's how he could go all around so fast. And the last place you were supposed to go was the moon. And so, like I said, I'm not going to get super deep into it. And plus, I don't really know all the details of it. But that's why the concept shots for the final ending was a big. If you look at the concept shots for the garden or wherever you do that final stage, it was a circle. It was a sphere. It was slanted. It's inside the Traveler. And guess what? The final boss is a heart beating. So that was the original plan. You come back and kill the Traveler, but that's too complex for these young minds, and they don't want to have to think. We just wanted to think about giving us some money for their next dance, right? So, then you would probably come back in Destiny 2. You lost your light because you killed the Traveler. Now you got to find it back some other way. So it's safe to say they might even have had that Destiny 2 planned out. So it wasn't that far-fetched. They had it completed in a year.
Well, I mean, and you look at Destiny 2, you do lose your light at the beginning of Destiny 2.
That's what I'm saying.
You just lose it a different way, and you lose it through an enemy now.
And you got the standard bad guy, and so all the bad, like Crota. I mean, great. I like that expansion.
Crota
I love the raid.
Crota was fantastic. I love that one. That was one of my favorite expansions.
It doesn't add to the lore. It's just a bad guy. Okay,
yeah.
You got to stop him before something worse happens. Okay, cool. And
basically,
Prison of Elders,
yeah,
basically,
it was just hollow. It was like those content that content throughout Destiny 1 after Vanilla Destiny 1. It was just kind of hollow. It's like it never really. Okay, why are these things coming this way? Yeah, I know you got the Traveler here, and that's why some of the stuff's happening, but it doesn't really make sense why it is. I mean, like you said, the whole thing, the concept drawings of the Black Garden was that spherical look, and then the Black Heart. I mean, that's the final thing in Vanilla Destiny in the campaign. The final thing you go out to kill is the heart, and that should be inside the Traveler. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, you see the pieces and parts that are still there in the game that they had to leave behind to keep the game whole. Because it doesn't always make sense either, because why did you have to go kill the Vex Heart, It didn't quite make sense because there was nothing big there. It just pieced together. And then the whole thing with the Stranger, that was thrown in there. And two, I love using this phrase because it makes no sense in the game. She says, "I have no time to explain why I have no time to explain." And it's like, why use that phrase? Because it's like, oh, it's just something to cover up the crap that they had to throw together, because Activision was like, it's a terrible idea. Bungie really just needs to go through and say, okay, let's just do this quote-unquote terrible idea and let's show Activision up. I think it would be great if they did that.
So the Stranger was supposed to be the one that kind of pulls you out of this brainwash. And then you meet Crow, who is that brother of that queen.
Which is the Prince Uldren, which Prince Uldren in Forsaken kills Cade. I mean, everybody knows that. That's commonplace.
Okay, yes, I don't. Before Cade and all these guys, but he was the one that was supposed to pull you. You were going to join his group, and the new social square was the Reef or whatever it was.
It was supposed to be the Reef.
That was going to be the new social area instead of the Travelers area, right? That's where all the underground, rebellious, rebel guardians were going to go to start this whole plan on how we're going to defeat this mega enemy. How cool is that, man?
That sounds fantastic.
That is such a great
what's funny about that is it has a little bit of sounding like Destiny 2, because in Destiny 2 you lose your light, you basically everybody comes together on the farm as an underground rebellion because Gaul has taken over the tower. You have your underground rebellion trying to plan how to overtake Gaul, how to get everybody back together and get Gaul. So it kind of sounds like they kind of pieced a little bit of what they wanted their original story to be together.
Was already written.
Into 2. And it's already written.
Save them some money.
And so that's why 2 felt hollow as well, because it's like you're using bits and pieces of this great story and doing it like that. So, I mean, I really hope that now that Activision's out of the way, Bungie will step up and do something awesome.
So Destiny 1, before Taken King came out, that's why it was hard for me to really play a lot, was because, and I played a lot, but not every time I would play it, I'd feel kind of foolish. Like, man, I'm doing exactly what they, I'm playing a game that they use for a cash grab. So in other words, your little cash grab plan, and you fired all your good people. After the guy the guy that was the composer, I mean, this dude, they did him wrong. Fired him after he did all the work for him, fired him and didn't pay him, essentially, for doing all the work and used all his stuff. So he had to go and sue him and all this. So anyway, there's a whole video, there's videos all about all of this. And so, I just felt foolish playing it because I felt like I'd fallen into their little game. And, until Taken King came out, now the content was so much fun, regardless of the story. It was fun to do, and it says something about a game when you're. If I do another Archon Prince strike, I've done 1 million of them. I don't know how many I've done, and I enjoyed it. Every time it's fun. I mean, it's fun. It's fun to do when you get home from work or whatever. Hey, I got 30 minutes. Let me just game out here for a minute. It's perfect for that. So the gameplay and stuff like that is great. It just needed to add some meat, keep people entertained. And what did they do with Destiny 2? They went backwards and made it more casual. And I know that people, it should be more casual. There's no way that game should be more casual. There's no end game in Destiny 1. It started to get some raid stuff later, and I didn't even do all the raids. I mean, once Taken King came out, it's like it was a whole new game. Yeah. But there was no end game really for. I mean, Crota was good, but...
Well, I mean, you've got a point there on endgame. I mean, you do have end-game content, but you really have no end game. And, end game, talking about, there's no finality to what you're doing. It's like, you win the game, but it's like, well, you still got all this stuff to do because you're not high enough light, or you're not this, or you're not that, or you don't have this, or you don't have that. You're doing the collecting part of it. So there's really no finality saying, okay, here's the end of the game, because with the Taken King, at the end of it you have what's her name, 3-eyed girl that's in the tower. I cannot think of her name.
Yeah, right, I know you're talking about this. She has that blindfold on. Yeah,
you have her come up, Eris Morn. You have her come up and you have her take the power of Oryx's sword. And so it's like, okay, well, where does that go? Well, you never have that explained. You never have that doled out. You never
of course not.
You never go into that. You never really have any finality to that. Yeah, when you go, for your raid, it's King's Fall. The last boss in it is you're fighting Oryx, and he's massive and huge and everything. That's great, but in your campaign, you had this piece here of Eris Morn doing this thing with the stone, taking power out of the sword and everything, and it never really goes anywhere. So there's no real end game to the game. And I get it too, because it's an MMO. You're not supposed to have a real ending to it, but yes. I think you can in one of those stories, because it's like,
this is not a real MMO though.
Yeah.
And so and they never claim to be. So I don't hold that against them, but think about it this way. And this is a good point that you're kind of bringing up, the stranger, right? Nothing ever became of that. That was in the start. Obviously, the story got jacked up. Okay, we get it. We don't know what happened. You're still in the phase of, okay, yep, stuff happens in business, but you had to get the game out. I'll even give you a pass that the story's jacked up. All right, you'll come back and correct it later. It doesn't, I mean, could you have written a story for the expansion that would cover with the stranger and what she was really doing there based on that, what you saw in Vanilla Destiny? I could. I'm not a writer. I could write one. You could write one. And somebody on that team can come up with an idea to bring the stranger around full circle somehow, right?
And the
could.
Crazy thing is they probably had the idea, but Activision probably said,
no, I'm talking, not even with Bungie, just Activision, saying Activision could, so I'm going somewhere with this, okay. So could you come up with that? No, we're going to do Crota. Why would you do Crota instead of coming around full circle? Well, it's already created, it's already on the disc. We were going to release it with the game, but we had enough sold at people reserving it that we didn't have to. Just kidding. That's the way I always say it. But anyway, so we had Prison of Elders on there because, release Crota, but the next one, well, we already got Prison of Elders. So now they haven't released anything full circle. All right, Taken King. It's a lot easier to not release any new content, really, handful of strikes, and just keep going with what you got. Instead of spending some money saying, hey, we really jacked this up with a story. We need to add a new character or somebody come up with some story. Anyway, the point is it would cost more money to fix that mistake.
Yeah.
And we're going to not spend that money and just put out what we have because, how much money is it going to cost them? So in other words, it saves them money in the short run because they already got the content made. But in the long run, it burns them, just like what's happening now. They're giving it back to Bungie, saying, look, we're done. We're tired of telling our investors why their big investment is failing. Well, their $500 million investment or whatever it was.
I mean, when they made the announcement, their stock dropped. I mean, took a big hit. So
yeah, so they're getting rid of that, and but you see the point though. They're not. They're trying to appease the investors. They don't want to spend more money on this. They don't care if the gamers are happy with the story. They just as long as they're happy enough to buy the next one, then they're happy. Well, that's all they care about. I mean, I'm dead serious. It's different. Well, they don't think future.
Well, one of the biggest gripes from going from D1 to D2 that you heard out of the community was, where's the finality in The Stranger? Just like we're talking about. There was no finality in The Stranger, and everybody was trying to... At one time, everybody thought from some of the videos that you saw and some of the previews that you saw that Hawthorne from the back was actually The Stranger. Turns out it wasn't. Hawthorne's a new character and everything like that. It's like, why do you, why did you leave that hanging? Story. You could have had a quick thing to to wrap it up. You could have made it a DLC. You went far enough to make a DLC on Osiris. You went far enough to make a DLC on Anna Bray. Why couldn't you make a DLC on The Stranger? It would have been the same exact size as either one of those. Probably would have been better than Osiris's DLC because Osiris's DLC was crap at best. And you would have had something that all the fans of Destiny were clamoring for. And you would have made a killing off of it. And you would have actually probably made D2 more viable and more profitable if you would have done a DLC, a small one, on just The Stranger. But
what else does that say? That says, hey, we are listening. We actually are, and we care. Exactly. And we will change our plans based on customer or fan responses, right?
Yeah.
And that's just a business that cares about its people. They don't. And so that's my whole gripe with Destiny forever, and Activision altogether.
And I'm hoping in this that we find out that it was Activision's fault that they weren't listening to the people. We'll see. We'll definitely see, because right now Bungie is saying that they're going to stay on track with what they have planned right now for D2 on the release of the content through the annual pass that they have going on, that they're not going to change any of that, which is fine. I understand that. You probably already have that developed and everything like that. It's probably not a smart move to try to redevelop all of that, because then you just have D1 happen all over again, because you're going in crisis mode trying to fix things that would they need to be fixed? Maybe, maybe they need to be buffed up or whatever. But if you just leave it alone and then come in with D3 as something just way off the ball, even better, that you could just turn the game around right there.
Yeah, and I'm going to be looking at D3. I'm going to be watching it close. And I kind of want it to succeed just because Activision's out of it now.
Me too.
And we'll see how they'll do it. I'm sure they'll do better, but I think that's good news overall for gaming, saying your little model didn't work. That your little, hey, I got an idea, let's invest all this money, and then we're going to turn around and flip this thing and make 100 times as much based on our model. And my brain is like fried just thinking about it already. I've burned so many brain bites on this. I used to go to at lunch at work on my lunch break. I would watch YouTube videos about what's going on with Destiny, and and I would just sit there and watch them for an hour or whatever while I'm eating with my headphones on. And learn all of that stuff, and it's just, it just blows my mind how people that play it don't see that. You know, how do you not see this? This is like official statements that they're releasing and all this, and you got to kind of realize like there's not a lot of content here. They released this expansion for $15. I played it for about 2 days and I'm done. Okay, well, I thought they said it was going to fix everything, fix all the stuff we were complaining about. No. Oh, well, they'll do it on the next one. Oh, sorry, guys, we really meant for it to do this. This next one will fix it, and then the next one comes out 3 months later. You spend $15 again, and it's the exact same thing. This time it takes 3 days to finish. And then you're like, what happened, Bungie? Oh, sorry, guys, we really, here's what was going on. They have an excuse for it, and then they do it again. And this happens 7 times or so.
Yeah.
And then it rolls over into the brand new D2 game where you're like, well, you took all your lessons learned and scratched them, even with the way that they did the weapons.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you're going to run through content, you need to have a huge variety in weapons.
Oh yeah, the weapon system for vanilla D2 was just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, that's all. So I just played vanilla. I didn't D2. I didn't play any other expansions after that. So that's what I'm talking about when I say D2.
Yeah, Forsaken made it a little better, but I really think they should have just went back to full original D1 weapon style because it just would have been better. But they were just so far into D2, you couldn't really take away what was done. It would have been kind of a rebaking of a game. I mean, you just don't do it. So, yeah. But Activision's proven time and time again they don't care about the customer unless the customer's dumping money in their pockets. All they care about is the money from the customer. They don't care about the customer. And I mean, let's just see where this goes.
Well, EA used to be like that. And I'm not saying they're not like that anymore, but they used to be really bad, just like Activision. And they got, I don't remember, excuse my dates, but I thought it was mid-2000s, 8, 2009 or something. But they got most hated company in America 2 years in a row. So when you get most hated company in America 2 years in a row, you change things. And so they changed, and now they're trying to say, just the simple fact that they're saying, see, we have no microtransactions in Anthem. We're revamping all of Battlefield 2. Yeah, too little too late for our Battlefront 2. Too little too late for that one, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And you realize you just basically kicked a minecart full of gold over the edge there, because that could have been something great, but y'all jacked it up trying to be too greedy with it, and people, now they don't trust you again. And now Anthem's going to be your deciding factor. But I'm glad that Destiny essentially failed. And the publisher was making money on it. They would not have given it up.
No, they wouldn't.
So
that's everybody thinks that's the root cause of them turning it over is that Destiny 2 didn't make the money they expected. I mean, I know Forsaken didn't have the sales that they expected it to have.
No, I mean they were giving it away for free. I mean they gave away Destiny 2 and all the expansions for free if you just buy Forsaken for $40, and then like it was on Plus for $20 or something for a month, It's like a few months after it was out, so they just needed players. They were dying.
Yeah, you could have, at one time, you could have essentially got the game for anywhere from $10 to $20, the full game from like D2 all the way through Forsaken. It was crazy.
But that shows you, I have when I go to my library, it says, so this is another, it says Destiny 2 Forsaken, and I can download it, right? And I click it, and I'm like, is this the Forsaken? Or not? I didn't buy it, and so so now I'm thinking they're trying to get me to download it, so then they'll make me buy Forsaken. Once I start playing it, and they go, oh, this wasn't really Forsaken. This was just the regular Destiny. Now you got to buy Forsaken because I never bought it.
I think you actually might have Forsaken. Like full Forsaken.
I don't know how.
I think at one time they were giving it away for free. I mean, they really were. If you already had the full if you had Destiny 2 vanilla, they were giving away for Forsaken at one time for free.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad. I mean, that's. And
so this shows you that I wouldn't even play it for free because even if it was the game, I thought about it. I said that would be fun just to go check it out. Kleer's on there. Everybody's on there. Talk to them, just give it. They're saying it's better now, but I just couldn't bring myself to do that. I just because of all the stuff we talk about. I mean, it's like as much of the stuff as this company's put us through. Now that it's gone to Bungie, it's now it's different. Okay, cool. Now we jump on there because as long as Activision's not associated with it, now we want it to succeed. I hope it does, But that's only if the business model changes.
Exactly.
So.
Let's hope the business model changes. Let's hope that they do the changes that they need. So, any other thoughts you have on this, Hollywood?
No, man. I mean, dude, I'm so burnt out on Destiny, though. I don't even like to think about it too much. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm just spinning my wheels a little bit talking about it but there's just, it's a little frustrating. There's so much. People don't even want to watch the videos on what we're talking about in terms of like the old history and all this, because nobody really cares anymore about what happened there. They don't care about that part. I mean, it is 5 years old now, but I hope I'm just being clear about where I'm coming from as a gamer, and not just sounds like I'm just griping about some big company or some game I don't like, because that's not the case. I don't have no problem with Activision making money if they do it correctly, provide something of value and get money. They can make $1 trillion off the Destiny franchise. I would be happy for them too if it wasn't ripping off gamers, right? And that was the danger. If it's ripping off gamers and making $1 trillion, now we have a very big problem, because that's what the model that everybody's going to go to. Do you know, like Clash of Clans or some of these cell phone games are making like, $5 million a day. Mm-hmm. How is a game company, hey, I can go to spend 3 years developing a game, release it, and make, even if it's a blockbuster game, $500 million. Mm-hmm. So that'll keep me afloat for the next 3 or 4 years. So I'll make another game and hope it does good. Or I can make a cell phone game using the same mechanics that these others do, make it addictive, use my power to advertise it, and then even if I make only 2.5 million a day. Yeah. What is that? 60, I don't know, man. I'm doing math in public. 80 million a month or something.
Yeah, because at 10 days you're looking at 25 million. If you do that, times 3, that's what, 75 million. You're up to you're right around 75 to 80 million a month.
Yeah, and so why would I? Now I'm back. It was 6 months. I'm where I would be. Yeah. If instead of in the next 6 months I'm the same. So that's the scary part, because you're fooling yourself if you think that they're not gonna chase that. The good news is that we got a lot of gamers out there, and there's a lot of there's access to a lot of good equipment and programs out there that these indie game designers can get out there and make a game for gamers, and it'll sell like hotcakes. Sorry for my poor analogy, but it would, if that was the case, where all these other gamers all these other big companies are ripping you off. They'll die a natural death as soon as the real gamers get a hold of it. So that's the good news about some of the capabilities that we have. Gaming's going to stay. I love that the people that do game are all, like I kind of mentioned it on the Smooth Ramblings, that I love the way that modern gaming is going. I love that all the gamers seem to be on the same page about what we will accept with microtransactions, what we consider a good game. Gamers of the Year are always, great games still. I am happy with the gaming industry as a whole, and happy to be a part of this time of video gaming, because it's a bright future, I do still believe, for the world of video games.
I think so as well. So I just really hope that we move forward with that. And I, want to just wrap it all back over to, hoping that Bungie can do the right thing and really make something awesome, and kind of just rub it in the face of Activision and saying, we really did have a great plan to begin with, and we told you we should have ran this way, because I really would love for them to be able to post on, Bungie.net. We told you so. That would be a great thing that they could do, to Activision. They turn around and make a killing off of it. So, any other thoughts on this?
No.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for listening to that. Listening to us talk about this. Thanks for following us. Hollywood, thanks for being on FyreSyde Chat with me today. This has been an awesome little quick chat. I know it ended up going longer than what I thought, but we ended up getting into some good discussions about Destiny, Bungie, Activision, and how all of that has been working, publishers and things like that. So, guys, give us a little.
I'm glad you had me on, though, man. Just want to say appreciate it.
Oh man, no, I thank you for you taking time out of your gaming schedule, because I know I bumped into your gaming time there.
Yeah, I was playing Final Fantasy, man, trying to get the stuff ready for next week.
Yeah, so sorry for bumping into your gaming time for that. So, guys, give us a like, give us a follow. You know where you can hit us up at. You can get all of our links on our Facebook page. If you're not following us on Facebook, you can get all of the links through the Podbean app and through the description that we'll post below this through this chat here. Hopefully I can put some gameplay behind this and have a little YouTube video with this as well. We'll see how that works for me. And guys, just once again, thanks for listening, thanks for following, and just until next time, keep on listening.
Later.